Well, Agatha all along has reached the end. Of course, it wasn't Agatha all along. No, it was Billy all along. Yeah. Because, he really takes after Mommy, so he has reality-altering powers. Basically, he's God, It's just he doesn't know how to control the powers at that level and that sort of thing. It's the kind of trope that's been used in Marvel, and the Century had a sort of element to his story. I don't know if they'll follow through on that with the Thunderbolts, because that's when he'll be introduced into the MCU. But I don't know. I mean, how many godlike beings can you have? And they're going to Secret Wars. Will the Beyonder show up? Who was like this too? Yeah. Although more consciously, though. Anyway, that was the deal for it all. The Witch's Road was just a con, and you get the backstory somewhat of Agatha, not in total. And as far as her son, well, there was no big revelation there either, other than, and no, it wasn't a revelation. It's just, Rio is death, so death came and took her son, but you don't know why. And then the insinuation that there was some deal. And early on, when they mentioned Mephisto, I thought, oh, Agatha got her powers in a deal with Mephisto. And maybe even Mephisto is the father of the child. But no. There was that revelation that she named the child Nicholas Scratch, which is an old nickname for the nickname, get it? Giggle, for the devil. And I don't know if they're insinuating that now Agatha is the mother of the devil, because I'm assuming they probably were thinking Nicholas Scratch, all grown up, will appear. Or maybe they'll even suggest that she's the mother of Mephisto. Yeah. But she called him Nicholas Scratch because she conjured him up from scratch. Yeah, you see, there was no father and all. This is stupid. So apparently there was this competition at Disney between Lucasfilm and Marvel of who could do the better lesbian witches. And I guess it's a draw because they're both terrible shows. Although the previous episode, like I said, was probably the best show. I can't remember if I can think of any episode out of The Acolyte that I thought, if they'd have done more of this, I don't know. I don't think so. But here, that last one, just in the choreography of connecting all the clues and whatnot of this sort of time jumps that the fortune teller lady went through and all of that, and it plays out. These final two episodes, they do a similar thing. It's just not as good as that one. And the reveal that Billy was subconsciously behind it all and that the Witch's Road never existed. It was this con that Agatha did over the centuries to steal the powers from other witches. And so she would lure them into this coven, get them together, and they were supposed to be able to open the portal to this magical road that would give them greater power and all this sort of stuff. But it wouldn't work, and she would blame them, and they would get pissy about it and start zapping her. And, of course, her power is to absorb and steal the powers of other witches, which leaves them dead. And so she was just doing this all the time, just murdering witches and teaching little Nicky all about that. Look at this, look at that. And she gives birth to Nicholas, and Death shows up, and she's like, no, and she says, well, I can only offer you some time. So she gets to raise the boy for a couple of years, and then Death shows up and takes the boy away. Yeah. Why? I don't know. I mean, if they're expecting a second season of this to explain that, so that there was some deal, because usually that's how that goes. Instead of offering up her own soul, she offered up her unborn son's soul for witch powers from what usually Mephisto in the Marvel universe is essentially the devil, and then that's how that went. I don't know, but they don't really give you anything. But the lesbianism in this is just stupid. At least in the Acolyte, these were two women, albeit, well, in Star Wars, everybody's an alien. But they were two women. They were the two mommies for the girls that were the key to it all. And so they had that. There was something of a relationship. Here you have Agatha, who at one point was a normal woman and becomes this witch. And then you have the incarnation of death. Now, yes, in the Marvel comics, they do this where Thanos had an infatuation with death. It never appeared to be reciprocated. I mean, because death is his natural reality, for life and whatnot. It ends, and it's just this sort of avatar of death or what have you. The idea that death was, brokenhearted because death had this romance with Agatha, and but that's how they do it. And they had this girl fight and all this, and death is like, why won't you choose me? And it's like she needs to die to prove her love to death and be with her for all eternity and whatnot. It's just, and death is just sort of the angel of death that comes and collects your soul and guides you on to your eternal destiny, which for Agatha would have to be hell. I mean, come on. She'd have a good reason not to want to die. You don't get to go on an eternal date with Aubrey Plaza, which, well, good Lord, that's pretty good, huh? But that's not the deal. So it's all stupid. It's just slapped on to what little story they had. I think at the Agatha show, which is another one that should not have been a show, it should have just been a movie. A D+ movie. It's not worthy of theater. And trim that down, because you had a lot of episodes that were just the same thing over and over again, and they said, oh, now they're dressed up like the 70s. Oh, now they're dressed up like the 80s and all that, and it just is stupid. And the only really good one, is the fortune teller episode. That was actually, I mean, it's not great, but it showed some effort and some work done there. And then the last two are just basically kind of trying to repeat that, but also filling in a few blanks of what they insinuated about her son and all that. And as for Billy, well, he magically gets his superhero costume and all that, but still doesn't know the full extent of his power. And seemingly there was like death, Agatha had to choose herself over Billy because death said Billy's anomaly and shouldn't exist and all this sort of stuff. But Agatha ends up, spoiler, dying. But don't worry, she's still around and is actually looking more like the actual Agatha from the comics because her hair turns white now that she's a ghost. And but Billy just can't let her go, she's such a great BFF. So they've teamed up together to go find his long lost brother, who Billy realizes he was able to transmit his brother's spirit into the body of some poor bastard who drowned because he was being bullied and all that. So that's the next step if they are able to pursue the Young Avengers. That eventually Billy will find his brother, who will be sort of the new Quicksilver. That's kind of how that went for the Young Avengers. And they would form the team, more than likely, for a D+ series. But will that happen? I mean, can the MCU survive long enough for that to happen? And at this point, looking at the output and how they're getting there, which will bear very little resemblance to the original story, should they even? No, they shouldn't. Just move on and just forget about this and go. The one thing about these final episodes is they did briefly have Aubrey Plaza take on the appearance of death. I mean, her face would turn into a skull and that type of thing, and that's what she's supposed to look like, more or less. I mean, she had the hood and the skull face, and that was about it, you know. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, a really stupid show. Most of it was just a waste of time, and really just lackluster overall. And yeah, the lesbianism was just shoehorned in because you have to, I guess. I don't know. And that's it. And I guess if they do any more, there's rumors that they're going to bring Scarlet Witch back in a big way with Secret Wars and stuff. So maybe she'll be reunited with her real children, you know, and something like so. I guess you'll see Billy as Wiccan show up and all that. But other than that, and then yeah, Aubrey Plaza will make appearances as Death again. But and there's rumors Thanos will come back, so maybe Thanos will come and be, you know, all hot and bothered for Aubrey Plaza, which, you know, you can't blame him. So maybe that. I don't know, but if you missed it, don't worry. You didn't miss much. So that's it for Billy all along.